Tonight, if you like someone, you have options. You can text them, follow them, send a meme with absolutely no context, and hope they somehow understand your personality from it. You can spend 45 minutes typing 3 words, deleting them, then typing them again. Ancient humans didn't have any of that. What they had was a campfire, a small group of people, and basically zero privacy. And somehow, they still fell in love. 1. The brain has since changed. Here's the first thing you need to know. The parts of your brain responsible for romantic attraction are ancient. The ventral tegmental area, the nucleus accumbens, the systems that flood your brain with dopamine when you see someone you like. Those systems didn't suddenly appear in the modern world. They've been running the same emotional software for hundreds of thousands of years. So when scientists ask whether ancient humans actually experienced love, the answer isn't really philosophical, it's biological. The hardware was already there. The butterflies were real. The racing heart was real. We have evidence of pair bonding going back at least 200,000 years. 2 people consistently choosing each other, sharing food, sleeping near one another, protecting each other during dangerous conditions. That's not just survival. That's attachment. That's a relationship. And honestly, it makes sense. Humans are social creatures. We survived because we formed strong emotional bonds. Love wasn't some luxury humans discovered after civilization. It was part of the survival strategy itself. 2. Your dating pool was about 50 people. Now here's the part that's difficult to imagine. Your entire social world was your group, usually somewhere between 20 and 150 people. These were the people you hunted with, ate with, traveled with, and slept beside. And they were also your dating pool. Think about how different that is from modern life. Today you can meet thousands of people online without leaving your bed. Ancient humans could spend their entire lives knowing fewer people than you follow on social media. And every person you might develop feelings for lived within walking distance. You couldn't avoid them after an awkward interaction. You couldn't ghost them. You couldn't take space. They were still there the next morning. And the next one. Groups did occasionally cross paths though. Seasonal migrations. Shared water sources. Temporary gatherings between bands. Imagine something like a prehistoric festival, except the music was made with bone flutes, and everyone smelled significantly worse. Those moments mattered. You see someone from another group across the firelight. Your brain does what human brains have always done. You become hyper-aware of one specific person in a crowd, and you probably only had a few days before they disappeared back into the wilderness. No pressure. 3. What astically made someone a Tartave? We tend to imagine ancient attraction as purely physical. Strong body, healthy genes, end of story. But humans have never been that simple. Of course physical health mattered, strength mattered, clear skin mattered. Good teeth mattered a lot more than they do now when eating itself was difficult. But studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies show something else too. Humor mattered. Creativity mattered. Intelligence mattered. The person who could solve problems, find water during a drought, make tools more efficiently, calm tensions in the group, or tell incredible stories around the fire became valuable. And valuable people are attractive. The funny person probably did pretty well. The clever person definitely did. Meanwhile, someone who looked impressive but contributed nothing to the group was much less desirable. When survival is everyone's full-time job, uselessness becomes unattractive very quickly. Which honestly explains a lot about human attraction, even now. People still fall for competence, confidence, humor, creativity. Some things never really changed. 4. They tried to impress each other. We don't have video recordings from the Stone Age, but we do have evidence. Shell jewelry dating back more than 100,000 years. Shell jewelry dating back more than 100,000 years. Decorative beads carried huge distances. Body paint, bone flutes, rhythmic drumming, communal singing. And you have to ask yourself a very simple question. Why would people spend time making jewelry if nobody cared about appearance? Why learn music if nobody wanted to perform? Even Neanderthals decorated themselves. They buried their dead carefully. They used pigments. They clearly cared about symbolism and presentation. Picture this scene for a second. A hunter returns from a successful trip. He's wearing a necklace made from animal claws. He sits beside the fire and retells the story of the hunt, stretching out the dangerous parts just enough to make everyone laugh. He's not only sharing information, he's performing. He's showing bravery, humor, skill, confidence. He's basically saying, look what I survived. And somewhere across that fire, somebody is paying attention. Did these performances work? We have absolutely no idea. but the effort itself feels deeply familiar. Humans have always wanted to be noticed by someone specific. 5. The group had opinions. Here's the less romantic side of all this. Relationships in early human societies weren't purely private decisions. They affected the entire group. Marriage wasn't only emotional. It was practical. Two families combining resources, knowledge, territory, alliances, survival strategies. And because of that, the group absolutely had opinions. Strong opinions. This doesn't mean individuals had no freedom. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies show people could reject partners, argue against arrangements, and pursue their own preferences. But social pressure still existed. If your group needed a stronger alliance with another band, a relationship could help secure that alliance. Personal feelings sometimes became secondary. That sounds cold to modern ears, but survival often required difficult compromises. At the same time, nobody wanted constant tension inside a tiny group where everybody depended on everybody else. Forcing two miserable people together creates problems too. You still have to survive winter together. You still have to cooperate during hunts. So even social pressure had practical limits. 6. One part near a Mani. Everyone eventually asks this question, so let's just ask it directly. Were ancient humans monogamous? The honest answer is probably somewhere in the middle. Scientists still debate this constantly. Here's what biology suggests. In species with extreme polygyny, one male mating with many females, males usually evolve to become dramatically larger than females. Gorillas are the classic example. Humans don't show that extreme difference. Men are somewhat larger on average, but not overwhelmingly so. That suggests humans probably didn't evolve under a system where a tiny number of males monopolized all relationships. But humans also aren't perfectly monogamous either. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies often describe something closer to serial monogamy. One primary partner at a time, but relationships could end. People remarried. Partners died young. Life expectancy was unpredictable. Rigid lifelong monogamy probably wasn't universal. Different groups likely handled relationships differently, which, honestly, still sounds very familiar. 7. Could you actually leave? In a small nomadic society, a breakup wasn't just emotional drama. It disrupted childcare, hunting partnerships, family alliances, daily routines. But people still left relationships. We know this because remarriage appears constantly in anthropological records. And here's the surprising part. Women in many hunter-gatherer societies often had more freedom than women in later agricultural societies. Why? Because they contributed heavily to survival. Studies repeatedly show that women's gathering activities often provided more stable daily calories than hunting did. That's important. A woman with her own survival skills, her own relatives nearby, and the ability to gather food wasn't entirely trapped. She had leverage. She had options. Agricultural societies changed that dramatically. Once humans settled down, property ownership, inheritance systems, and land control became central to society. And in many places, women's independence narrowed significantly. Strangely enough, some Stone Age societies may have been more equal than many civilizations that came after them. 8. The drama was absolutely real. Jealousy is ancient. It appears in every human culture ever studied. That kind of universality usually means something is deeply wired into human psychology. And prehistoric humans were no exception. Skeletal remains show injuries consistent with interpersonal violence. Researchers believe competition over mates was sometimes part of that story. But here's the important thing. In a group of maybe 50 people, you could not allow romantic conflict to completely destroy the group dynamic. Everyone depended on everyone else to survive. There had to be rules, expectations, boundaries, even if nobody wrote them down. And there was definitely gossip. In a tiny group, reputation mattered more than almost anything else. If you behaved selfishly, aggressively, or irresponsibly, everybody knew almost immediately. Social pressure became its own form of law. Because in that world, being cast out from the group wasn't symbolic. It was potentially fatal. 9. Was there a wedding? Probably not with a DJ and expensive centerpieces, but almost certainly some kind of ceremony. Humans have always marked important transitions. Birth, death, partnership, adulthood. We naturally create rituals around meaningful moments. In many hunter-gatherer cultures today, relationships become official through simple public acts. A couple shares a meal publicly. One partner moves into another family's camp. The community witnesses the union, and that witnessing matters. Because once a relationship became publicly recognized, the group's expectations changed. Your role changed. Your responsibilities changed. People treated you differently. The form looked different for modern weddings, but the purpose was remarkably similar. The community acknowledged that two people now belonged together. In the end. So maybe love was never a modern invention at all. Long before cities, phones, or even written language, humans were already experiencing the same nervousness, jealousy, excitement, and heartbreak we still feel today. They made jewelry hoping someone would notice. They told stories around fires trying to make one specific person laugh. And somewhere, tens of thousands of years ago, somebody probably hesitated before saying the exact words they wanted to say. Not because humans have changed so much, but because, in the ways that matter most, we really haven't.